Hey everyone, we're back. It's Friday. That means it's time to deploy. Jim, we've been away for a while.
Haven't we? Off having fun?
I was away on leave. Sorry about that. We were away for a few weeks, and but now we're back. Jim, how was your break? I guess from deploy on Friday and other things. You've been working away, I see.
Yeah, very good. Break was great. Went and got some sun in Southeast Asia, and now back and well into the work. I think they were talking about it a bit at Ship the other day as well. The work the team's doing.
That's right. So we recently had an event called Shipped. Well, we'll talk about that in today's show. And some of Jim's work and other people's work was highlighted in that event, so that was great. This is all the stuff that you couldn't talk about, I guess.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Yeah, yep. So to finally start to talk about how we're going large in Octopus Server,
Nice.
scaling up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, might as well get into it. So here we go. So this is the event ship that we hosted yesterday morning, 1 a.m. our time in Australia. And this was a great event. I think we had 879 people register for this event, which is okay. I mean, it's not. Look, we're not .NET Conf, we're not GitHub Universe. We're a little company that could, right? So
Yep.
875 people, whatever it was, which was great. I think we had a max of 333 live attendees, which is good
Oh
as
wow,
well.
great.
And so we had a lot of fun doing this, and it was a really great event. We had lots of great speakers. We had Paul, Colin, Bob, Ships, Kit, Steve, Ian, Paul, Gemma, Michael, Robert, and Alex. Various representing various teams and talking about various things as well. And for those who didn't get a chance to see it, don't worry. This is all up on YouTube, but just wanted to show you kind of the highlights of the event. So we kicked things off with Paul doing a keynote, and then Colin followed that up by talking about the roadmap, stuff that we've done, where we're going. Then we had Ships and Alex talk about Octopus Cloud. This was a great session. This session was basically talking about all the warts and all about Octopus Cloud and shared some internal Slack messages around what we were doing around that, which was great. Michael Richardson talked about GitHub Actions and release pipelines. Kit and Robert talked about Kubernetes deployments. And then we had Paul Grady did a really good talk. I actually asked Paul to do this because he and I had chatted a lot about Sailfish, which was one of his little pet projects. And he was talking all about performance. And so he talked about scalability, he talked about all this sort of stuff that goes into measuring performance. Paul's a PhD in computer science, so he knows a thing or two about what he's doing there. Then Ian talked about tenancy deployments. Steve talked about Dora, DevOps, and deployments. A nice alliteration there. And then Bob wrapping things up, showing off the scar tissue he's built up doing multi-tenancy over the years. So that was the event. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. We had a lot of fun. And as I said before, they're all available up on YouTube now. So you can watch each of these sessions in the comfort of your own home. You can grab a bag of popcorn, play these back at 2 times speed, do whatever you feel is right, when watching these things. But they were great. And I credit to all the speakers that we had. We had a great time. If you want to watch the whole session from start to end, this is the entire event that we did, and we had all kinds of graphics. Like the entire team got involved in doing this thing because we had to basically build a whole bunch of new graphics from scratch. We had to host the thing. Jem and I were the co-hosts here for this, and we had to do a bunch of stuff talking about what we're doing. We had sessions, we had people presenting, we had all kinds of things, and it all came off, which was great. So the total event itself was about 5.5 hours, which was great. And as I said before, we've got all the videos now available. We've got a playlist for this as well. And so I would strongly encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, some really great stories about how the sausage is made in there, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So the two that I like the most, not to say that this is like saying who's your favorite kid. I'm sorry, I should probably rephrase that. Yeah, yeah. So this one I liked a lot. So I begged Ships and others to talk about the story behind Octopus Cloud. I basically said, look, warts and all, let's see the whole thing. Let's see how the sausage is made, and share with us everything that we're doing internally. And so we went as far as talking about how we had 100K AWS bills rather. We talked about how crypto miners attacked us. We shared internal Slack messages. Like we did all these crazy things that we talked about. And I think you were highlighted in this. Actually, one of your Slack
Yeah,
messages
my
was
face
highlighted
popped
in
up
here.
there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So I begged them to talk about this, and it was great. And I'm really glad we did this because who cares? Like, this is what it shows that we're human. Like, there's humans behind this technology, and we're trying our best, and we're working really hard on it. And we didn't get it right the first time, or the second time, or the third time. We keep building and we keep building, we keep building, and so this was a great story. And I thought that a lot of great innovations were made to help support this story. And yeah, like we said earlier, your face was mentioned here. I'm trying to find the instance of it, but I can't right now. So whatever. I think it was talking about failed deployments or resilient deployments somewhere in here. Anyways, watch the
Yeah,
video. You'll see. Oh, there you go. There's
there I
the.
am.
Here, let's go full screen here. There you go. Yeah, this was the video. This was the postcard that I think you sent out saying, "Hey, you got a demo of Octopus Server surviving if it goes down," which is very
Yeah,
important. So, tell us a little
yeah.
bit about this.
Yeah, so one of the things that I don't know if it affects all customers a lot, but when you're running in Octopus Cloud, we do have maintenance windows that we can use to upgrade your instance and do maintenance on the instance and stuff like that. Right now, if you happen to be deploying when you hit those maintenance windows, you probably can't keep that deployment going anymore. When you come back, it'll be failed. So we're working on ways to sort of survive, not just that, but unplanned outages as well, and at the same time going for significantly more concurrent deployments than we can currently do too. So
Yeah, I think we were mentioning like 10,000 deployments or something like that, or we
yeah,
were
I
trying to
think
actually Paul Grady talked about this a lot. He said, can we get a reasonable estimate as to how long it will take us to do 100, no, 10,000, was it deployments, 10 to deployments? I can't remember.
yeah, yeah. And so I think the kind of numbers we're playing around with at the moment are more like 1,000. But we're not necessarily hitting any limits yet. I think 1,000 is something that people want to do. So we're probably going to think more around that number than 10,000 for now. But maybe we'll play around in that space a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it seems like everything's going really well. The only thing we're really thinking about right now is sometimes when you adding resilience, like we are here, so surviving problems, sometimes you can have to trade off against something, and that can be the time it takes to do a deployment. Or so we're just playing with all of those trade offs right now. So maybe a half-hour deployment takes a little bit longer if you also have to make sure you're checkpointing along the way.
Right. Yeah, I love this video that you did. I remember watching it and I was like giving high fives, to the air basically because we all work from home. But basically, it was cool to see like, your video was great because it was like, oh, let's kill Octopus in the midst of a deployment and let's pick it back up. And hey, it continues on from where it left off. So,
Exactly,
really,
exactly.
really awesome stuff. So, I guess you can't say when we're going to ship this, but it is something we're working on. We got a working demo. So there you go. That's
Yeah,
half the
yeah.
battle right there. It's not vaporware.
Proof of concept.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you off the hook. So if you want to watch these and other videos, there's plenty of you to watch. The other one that I liked was Paul Grady's. So I begged and pleaded Paul to do this one. And Paul talked a lot about estimating performance and talking about kind of what we're doing in the background because let's face it, we get a lot of folks asking us like, hey, please improve, yeah, improve performance, etc., etc. And so, we're trying to kind of showcase what we're doing in this space. And so Paul is in the midst of this, and he's kind of like, he's in the middle of the tempest, if you will, and trying to get some predictability around this and showing off kind of stuff so we're pulling back the kimono fully on this. And I begged Paul to do this because I thought, what better way to show to customers that we care than actually showcasing like what we're building and working on. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always enjoy the stuff that Paul talks about. So interesting.
So we also have some blog posts. We've been gone for a while, so lots of blogs have been written in the few weeks we've been gone. So let's cover some of them. So Adrian wrote a blog post talking about what's coming in 2023.4, which is resilient technical communications. So this is basically at the protocol level where we have flaky or high latency networks. Technical tends to get a little bit upset, I guess, if it can't communicate with server.
Yeah, that's right. And so if we've got customers who are deploying over unreliable networks or flaky networks of some kind. Sometimes they're on the other side of the internet. You don't really want the deployment failing just because the network's flaking a bit. So we tackled it right down at the protocol level and tried to make the protocol itself a bit more resilient to network issues. Um, we've got other features that can help deployments survive random issues, but this was specifically dealing with bad networks.
Nice. So if you want to check that out, the article is entitled Introducing Resilient Technical Communications. We've also got a interview with Dan Horkus Burchess. Sorry, I butchered that name. From DDA Software. And Steve was kind enough to interview Dan and talking about his journey into the DevOps space. DDA Software does a lot of work around this in the consulting space, so that was great. Andrew wrote a really interesting article around defining a target architecture. So Andrew originally posted this on a personal blog, talking a little bit about, considerations into the future and, what you need to consider from an engineering perspective. And so Andrew is obviously in the mix of all of this. And so if you're at all curious as to, this is like there's that episode of Star Trek where there's like that big lattice structure that ends up killing everyone, and lore Data's twin, I guess, works with this chart always reminded me of it. But what this is basically an org break. This is a responsibility breakdown chart we have in one of our internal documents that talks about responsibilities across the org. We use a lot of these charts internally. So great article by Andrew talking about separation of concerns, breakdown of things to consider. Especially from an architecture perspective, where we have lots of moving parts and pieces, and I think the analogy of an architect is apt for that as well. Michael talked a little bit about our OIDC work and integration with GitHub directly through an app, which is fantastic. This is the one thing. So when I was part of integrations a couple of years ago, we originally built out GitHub Actions, but we always had our eye on GitHub Apps. So we were like, Actions or apps? Actions or apps? And at the time, Actions was getting all the love. But what we quickly realized is if you're going to do automations that operate in the background, and you're going to do it without the need for things like API keys and the like, you have to build both OIDC or OpenID Connect, and you have to have apps. And they're not as easy as Actions. Actions are really, really simple to build. We built 11 to 12 of them, and they're all up in the store. But this was a lot more work. And so Michael here is talking a little bit about what we have planned around that, showing off what it looks like. This mitigates the need for API keys by just doing service-to-service or machine-to-machine authentication and identity. So that's the purpose of OpenID Connect. To a certain extent, you set up domains that you trust, and then you can communicate with other issuers of tokens. And then the other idea or aspect of this is a GitHub app, which is similar to the way that Actions work in a sense, but apps are long. They can also federate identity, and they have an event model just like Actions do, but they can also do other interesting things. And so this is part of that work there. And this was an article that Michael wrote and published earlier on this month to talk about that, which is fantastic. Other articles that we talked about, we mentioned Shipped. We've already talked about Shipped, so we don't need to worry about that. We've been talking a lot about platform engineering recently, so this is a bit of a theme that we've been talking about across a number of events. So we were recently at Multi-Tenancy Con, KubeCon, Tech Bash, GitHub Universe. These are all events that recently concluded for us. And the whole theme, to a large extent across all of them, was platform engineering. So platform engineering, or some people have called it like DevOps V2. Some people have called it other things. So platform engineering is definitely a hot topic these days, and there's lots of folks talking about it. And we decided, why not talk about it ourselves? And some of the things we actually, we actually started doing this before it was called platform engineering. Things like Golden Path and internal developer platforms and things like that. We were already doing these things internally on various teams. I know that we were doing this on the integrations team. We were very much about eating our own dog food, deploying using Octopus, using the GitHub Actions to deploy the GitHub Actions. It was kind of like just this sort of virtuous cycle, if you will, of activity. We did a lot of this stuff. So a lot of stuff definitely resonates when you think about all of those things. But yeah, just on the blog stuff, we've been doing a lot because we've been away for so long. Lots of articles there, which is fantastic. Awesome. And then just to wrap things up, we've been doing a few webinars as well. They're all posted on this page as well. You can take a look at them. But we're going to be kickstarting again the Octopus 101 series later on in December. So I'll be hosting one of those there. We also have a partner webinar coming up at the end of this month, Achieve Faster Time to Market with Bion Consulting and Octopus Deploy. They're going to be talking basically a lap around Octopus there. But we've been doing a lot of these. We've done so many of these webinars this year. Partner webinars, product webinars, town halls, you name it, we've done it. We've been doing Deploy on Friday for 35 episodes. So there's lots of stuff that we've been doing in this space, and it's been great to see. So lots and lots of stuff to keep you busy. Awesome. So Jim, it must be nice to know that you can talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing now.
It is nice, and I'm really interested to. It'll be really fun to share what we're learning along the way as we do it now too. So I'm looking forward to that in the coming weeks,
Cool.
months.
I can't wait for the demo where you actually have a physical, like, Raspberry Pi running Octopus, and you just pull the power out of it and then plug it back in and have it reconnect and then resume the deployment.
Yeah, I'll have to set up a whole setup to do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll put it into a cluster. Come on, HA for the win. Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anyways,
Right.
that wraps up this episode of Deploy on Friday. Sorry for the long hiatus. We were on leave. Jim was sipping Mai Tais, doing whatever he does when he's on holiday. I was on vacation as well. We did Shipped. We had a lot of stuff happening, but we're back, and it's great to see you all. And if you happen to stumble upon this show and see something that you would like us to mention, feel free to let us know in a comment. In the meantime, feel free to like and subscribe to this video channel, and we will see you next week on Deploy on Friday. Take care, everyone.